I'm Chief Petty Officer Herb Josie. This week on Navy Marine Corps News, crew members aboard USS Oklahoma City come to the aid of their namesake city. The new evaluation system is set to hit the fleet. And play ball. Sailors and Marines head to the ballparks to watch professional baseball once again. Join me and Corporal Christiana Halsey for these stories and more on Navy Marine Corps News. This week on Navy Marine Corps News, the Navy's new evaluation system is set to hit the fleet. USS Oklahoma City sailors travel to their namesake city to bring relief supplies. And play ball. Sailors and Marines head to the ballparks to watch professional baseball once again. Stay tuned for these stories and more next on Navy Marine Corps News. Welcome to Navy Marine Corps News. I'm Chief Petty Officer Herb Josie.
And I'm Corporal Christiana Halsey. The Navy's evaluation and fitness report system is changing.
Most of the tweaking and fine-tuning is done, and the new evaluation and fitness report forms are ready to hit the streets. And everybody's wondering, what do the new evaluations look like? How hard are they to prepare? Will they work? Here's a preview of what you can expect. It began last fall with this question to the Chief of Naval Operations.
Nowadays, evals have gotten to be so subjective. What are we looking at doing with our evaluation system?
But why change the system?
It just seems a little unfair to begin with. Everybody gets 4.0, and if they don't, then they're not going to make rates. So it does need to get away from it, because not everybody's 4.0, and they still give them the 4.0s.
So there's a lot of things that the old eval system did, was like community involvement. That was counted more than actually doing your job.
Those concerns and more led Admiral Borda to announce last fall.
I am now convinced it's time to change our system.
And what a change it's been. Book-length write-ups, gone. Ranking against your peers, history. Everyone rated 4.0, not anymore. The new system gets rid of those subjective, walk-on-water write-ups, where the phrasing and underlining seem to matter as much as the content. Instead, you'll be rated against clearly defined standards that tell you exactly what you did or didn't do to deserve your marks.
I think it's going to decrease on the amount of overinflated evals you have.
The grade scales are from a 1 to a 5, with 1 being the significant problem area individual and a 5 being the best that there is. We don't foresee everyone getting 5s overall, all right, if they grade against the standards. And it's not going to hurt not to get 5s.
Give me that again?
It's not going to hurt not to get 5s.
Then you counsel on, then you evaluate, they're grown.
To explain that and more, briefing teams from the Bureau of Personnel are out in the fleet. They're also getting feedback on the new forms and accentuating just how different the new system will be.
What's not allowed? Specific ranking among the peers, competitive group, a little kiss right on by the CO and pen after the whole thing's done to smooth it, or best of the best even if you didn't.
One of the biggest changes to the system is the added requirement for counseling. It's now mandatory halfway through the reporting period.
The evaluation form itself is used as a counseling form, all right? So you've got documented counseling that's going to help some of the junior troops from their first time counseling. Everything is written on the form, the standards are on the form, and that's what they need to counsel on.
Commands will be able to get the new forms and the revised eval instruction this summer. And after the form comes out this summer, the period between July and January 96 is to be used for training on the new form by commands and for required counseling.
In the weeks following the tragic bombing of the Alfred P. Murrah Federal Building, relief supplies from across the country have poured into Oklahoma City. And as NBC affiliate KFOR reports in Oklahoma City, a portion of that relief effort has come from sailors who are proud to serve aboard the city's namesake. KFOR provides us with this week's Focus on the Fleet.
We've showed you help and prayers pouring into Oklahoma City from all over the country. Now help is coming from another direction, from the sea.
The Oklahoma Navy rolled into Tinker Air Force today, loaded with as much as their plane could carry. Confused? Well, that's the kind of help we might expect from our boat.
The USS Oklahoma City spends most of her time roaring through the Atlantic, powered by a nuclear reactor that puts it at the cutting edge of our naval might. But she was in port in Norfolk, Virginia when word came that her namesake was burning and bleeding.
Captain, got on the 1MC after this thing had happened, this tragedy, and he was, he filled us in on it, but he was really angry. He says, we must do something for these people, but the ship was deploying in 2 days. So he's like, okay, some people are going to stay behind, and you're going to arrange to do something. He had no idea what, because he had a ship to get underway. And 4 days later, we have this aircraft full of supplies.
We immediately passed it around the ship and started putting in action to see what it was that we could do, what Oklahoma City needed from us.
That response of a plane load of relief supplies shouldn't surprise us. The sub is a long way from landlocked Oklahoma, but the influence is everywhere, from the Greg Burns paintings to the mess hall they call the Cattleman's Cafe. The urge to help was obvious for sailor Jeffrey Haupt, a native of Mustang.
Well, it started out on Wednesday. That's same afternoon we started a blood drive, and a little over half the crew donated blood at the Red Cross. We accounted for a third of the blood donated that day.
So while the sub put to sea on a mission, several sailors were left behind for this mission, a mission of mercy that surprises even them.
The submarine community in Norfolk can say, hey, it's our city got bombed and we'd like some support. Well, that was supposed to fill up a U-Haul, but we got so many things, so many people brought things in, and these corporations responded in an overwhelming manner that we had to scrap the U-Haul and get a C-130 aircraft to fly it in, and that aircraft is full.
We'd like to thank KFOR-TV for providing this week's focus on the fleet.
And Chief, since that report, the crew of USS Oklahoma City has turned over more than 30,000 pounds of cargo and $1,500 to its namesake city. It took the crew only 2 days to collect and personally deliver the supplies to Oklahoma City for the relief effort. But they couldn't have done all this alone. Many family members were called to serve too. USS Oklahoma City spouses responded by organizing and collecting goods.
I became involved because when you rip a piece out of Oklahoma City, you rip a piece out of the USS Oklahoma City, and it hurts. And no one can explain that hurt, but the one thing you could do is find something to do to ventilate that anger and to help people understand that something good can come out of something that we don't understand.
After arriving, the crew and their family members presented the supplies to the mayor of Oklahoma City.
We've got a warm relationship with the USS Oklahoma City, and it's just always been such a good relationship. And the guys, when we heard about first thing giving blood and then what the wives had done, it really makes us in Oklahoma City feel good, and it'll keep that bond between our sub and you all and our city really very close, and we accept this with a lot of gratitude.
One sailor and 2 Marines were killed by the explosion. LN1 Kimberly Clark, a naval reservist, worked in the Federal Building's Office of Housing and Urban Development.
Captain Randolph Guzman and Sergeant Benjamin Davis worked in the Marine Corps recruiting station on the building's 6th floor.
We'll be right back after this.
When Wally Bonfield opened his service station back in 1927, he never dreamed he'd retire as a great American investor. Of course, that was before he started buying U.S. savings bonds. To Wally, they're a tradition that still makes sense. Kathleen Milton has another story to tell. After 40 years of taking care of the family business, she now insists on taking care of her family. This great American investor buys her grandchildren's savings bonds as gifts, a tradition she intends to continue. As for Corporal Steve Beckett, he became a great American investor back in boot camp. Like many of the men he serves with, he buys bonds through the payroll savings plan, the safe, convenient way to invest in his future. To Steve, bonds have a tradition as strong as the Marines. And they're both always faithful. U.S. Savings Bonds, Department 893, Washington, D.C. 20226.
Welcome back to Navy Marine Corps News. Attorney General Janet Reno announced that the 21,000 Cuban migrants at the naval station in Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, will soon be on the move.
And if they meet immigration requirements, they will be allowed to enter the United States.
But as Petty Officer Bill Miles reports, migrants are not the only people who will leave Guantanamo Bay.
For many ships on the East Coast, including the Coast Guard tall ship Eagle, refresher training men heading to Guantanamo Bay, Cuba. But beginning in August, that will change. The The Fleet Training Group in Gitmo is moving to Mayport, Florida, and the 100 sailors assigned to the group are excited.
Yes, yes.
And your family?
Relieved. My family was relieved because I had moved my family to Mayport in anticipation of FTG moving to Mayport.
Along with the rest of the base last September, FTG personnel had to evacuate their families to safe havens stateside because of the influx of Cuban and Haitian migrants at Gitmo. Moving to Mayport means an end to that separation.
Eventually we'll be able to get back together after these long months of separation. There'll be no more stress. I'll be able to be a father to my kids again and actually be with my wife again, which is a lot of relief on her as well. She's been a single parent for 9 months now.
The Fleet Training Group's move reinforces the Navy's commitment to minimize family separations and to improve quality of life for sailors. And the move will also save Navy resources and money.
Travel time coming to Mayport Vice, Gitmo will save money. And the same environment, I mean, the weather will still be nice, and I think that'll be an advantage for the fleet as well as the FTG personnel.
So I think the training is more or less going to be enhanced by the fact that time involved is shorter. We'll be able to concentrate more on the areas, and services will definitely be a lot easier to obtain and work with there in Mayport.
Ships conducting refresher training will soon be heading to Florida instead of Cuba. And that's great news for a lot of FTG families. For Navy Marine Corps News, I'm Petty Officer Bill Miles.
Although both the migrants and the Fleet Training Group are leaving, Gitmo's not going to dry up and go away. Guantanamo Bay will remain operational for logistic support of fleet operations in the Caribbean.
And keeping the logistic support lines open is one key to readiness, not only in the Caribbean, but around the world. The senior enlisted from both the Navy and Marine Corps are working hard to address the questions of their sailors and Marines. During the Sergeants Major and Master Gunnery Sergeant Symposium at Quantico, Virginia, Marine Corps top enlisted from around the world were able to address those concerns. No matter where Marines are in the world, they all have the same problems and concerns. That's why the Corps' top enlisted met in Quantico, Virginia to discuss these concerns and offer some solutions during this year's symposium.
The opportunity has also arisen for us to ask questions of these key players in the Marine Corps, the Commandant, Sergeant Major, with concerns that our Marines have voiced to the various Sergeant Majors and Master Gunnery Sergeants that are here for the symposium.
Representatives from every major command were on hand to absorb the information and take it back to their Marines in the fleet.
Because as a senior person like myself, it is my duty and responsibility to ensure that I retain all this knowledge and also make sure it's disseminated down to a lower echelons.
With us to talk about some of those issues is Sergeant Major of the Marine Corps, Sergeant Major Harold Overstreet. Thanks for being here.
You're welcome.
What issues did you talk about with the Sergeant Majors and the Master Gunnery Sergeants?
We talked to them about everything from promotions to re-enlistments to quality of life to you name it. We tell them what is the hottest issues going on in the Marine Corps today and what the Marine Corps' latest policy is on all of those issues.
You said quality of life. What steps has the Marine Corps taken to better quality of life?
One of the primary things going on with quality of life is operational tempo. If you look at the operating forces in the Marine Corps, we have about 20-something, oftentimes 20 to 30-something% of the operating forces deployed at any given time, which simply means we have a third of the Marines out there, a third just came back, and a third is getting ready to go. If we had our wishes, we would certainly slow that operational tempo down just a little bit, and that's one of our main concerns for quality of life.
That's definitely some good info to know. Thank you again for being here, Sergeant Major Overstreet.
Thanks, Chris. And as you may have heard, the Marine Corps has already named the next Sergeant Major of the Marine Corps. Sergeant Major Lewis G. Lee, a 28-year veteran, is currently serving as Sergeant Major for Marine Forces Pacific. He'll be the 13th Sergeant Major of the Marine Corps when he takes over the reins this July. When we come back, we'll show you how to make your next move an easier one. Stay with us.
Yeah, listen, hey, hi, this is Tony Gwynn of the San Diego Padres, wishing all the men and women abroad and here in country a big happy thank you for serving our country, doing all the things that we should be doing, but you have decided to do for us, and we really appreciate it, and thank you very much.
Here's the pitch. Joe Carter swings. It's a towering shot. Deep to left field. It's out of here. Now there's a winning play. And here's another. The stars on these baseball cards have hit on a winning strategy for good health.
Becoming a professional baseball player took hard work, discipline, and a commitment to keeping my body healthy. That's why I never used tobacco.
I've got to be in top shape to stay ahead of these hitters. Good health is part of my game plan, and using tobacco is a guaranteed loser.
When I finally reached the majors, I learned what tobacco does to your body, and I finally said, hey, it's time to quit.
It won't help my game. If you don't start, you don't have to quit.
So listen to the pros. Quitting tobacco is one time that quitters always win.
Join the winning team. Don't use tobacco. A message from Major League Baseball and Navy Medicine.
Choose your friends wisely, choose them with care. Go for the best you can. Because there will come a time when you can't make it alone. You're gonna need a lifeline. Hold on, you don't have to face it alone. We're all in this together, you know. If you need a hand, there's one to spare. Real friends are always
Welcome back to Navy Marine Corps News. Of course, moving is an important part of the military experience, and some of us have good experiences and some of us have not so good experiences.
That one I can say for experience, something I don't want to remember. But moving doesn't have to be a traumatic experience if you know what you're doing. Petty Officer Rebecca Mullendor gives us some news you can use that can make your next move a lot easier.
Moving, it can be one of the most stressful times in anyone's career, but the counselors at your local personal property office can make the transition easier.
I went over there early in the morning. I didn't have an appointment, you're supposed to, but I walked in there. I was in and out in 10 minutes. Gave me all the guidelines and asked me when I wanted to move it.
Personal property counselors will explain the responsibilities of the service member and the contracted moving company. They'll also help you fill out all necessary paperwork and schedule a pack-out date.
I ask him questions regarding what he wants to do, where he wants to ship his property to, so forth. And based on his information, we're able to complete the documentation and set up a move for him.
Here are some tips to make your next move successful. First, contact the personal property office early, at least 4 weeks in advance during the peak season from May to September, and 2 weeks otherwise. Listen to the counselor and ask questions. Also, you'll need to estimate the weight of your household goods, and once you've reached your destination, contact the personal property office to arrange for delivery.
Let them know you're in the area. Give them a telephone number or a contact address where they can get in touch with you. When your shipment is delivered, it's your obligation to annotate any loss or damage on the DD-1840 at the time of delivery and immediately call the Personal Property Claims Office.
Your next move can be a smooth one by following the advice and handouts from your counselor. For Navy Marine Corps News, I'm Petty Officer Rebecca Mullendor, Norfolk.
And remember, planning is the key to make your next move a successful one.
And make sure you go to the experts to get the information you need. You can stop by your family service center or make an appointment at the household goods office, and they can tell you all you need to know.
They can also give you pamphlets like this one. It's called It's Your Move, and it has a lot of news you can use to make your next move an easy one.
And one other resource you can use to find out answers to questions that no one else can answer is the Household Goods Helpline, which will start June 1st. That number is 1-800-444-7789. And of course, they're set up to answer anything you may want to ask, make your move a little easier.
And speaking of easier, one thing definitely easier to find nowadays is high-quality uniforms.
But the process for making them isn't easy. Petty Officer Brian Wood takes us on a tour of how your uniform is made from start to finish.
Navy uniforms have come a long way from the traditional style of the 1800s to the contemporary style we know today.
Before uniforms are issued to sailors and Marines, a long process takes place from farmlands across the nation where sheep are raised for wool to the processing facilities at Clarksville, Virginia and Henderson, North Carolina, where raw wool becomes quality fabric. The whole process takes up to 16 months. In addition, there are over 100 manufacturing steps in processing 1 yard of fabric, from washing and cleaning, pulling and untangling fibers to form a web, to dyeing.
That's why it's so important to try to catch each step as it comes in each department to make absolutely sure that we're doing the very best that we can.
There are 50 million fibers to one wool fleece, and it takes approximately 50 miles of yarn for one uniform. So maintaining quality is important to the processing of material.
This job, why this is important is because this makes sure that the yarn is being maintained, and we got any defects in the yarn before it hit the weave room, we can detect it here.
Some of the people who work at the processing facility, like Johnny Graham, have a personal interest in the job they do.
Well, for doing this kind of job, if I'm going to do it for the Navy, I have a daughter there, and I'm going to make sure she got the best.
This is the final inspection of the material before it goes out to a buyer. They're looking for any defect whatsoever that would make this material substandard. This material has been looked at by human eye at least 6 times throughout the processing.
Once approved, the fabric is sent on to its next destination in Natick, Massachusetts, to be drawn, cut, and assembled.
So now you've seen that it is quite a long process from raw wool to a fine quality uniform that's stocked in Navy Exchange complexes around the world. Reporting for Navy Marine Corps News, I'm Petty Officer Brian Wood, Norfolk.
Next week, Petty Officer Wood will explore how the Navy makes sure the uniform you wear is safe.
And another group in uniform is taking to the field, the baseball field that is. Petty Officer Ron Flanders went out to the San Diego Padres home opener, along with some San Diego sailors and Marines, and calls the action.
Though a magnificent season was lost to the strike last year, baseball fans are excited to see their love come back. Gunnery Sergeant Ron Sickman was just one of thousands of fans coming through the turnstiles on opening day to see his Houston Astros play the San Diego Padres.
I enjoy baseball. I've played for a long time, and I've been around it for a long time, and I just enjoy being here at the park, the atmosphere and everything, and getting to watch some good players.
Center fielder, number 12, Steve Finley.
With regards to the strike, some military fans may not forget, but they're trying to forgive.
Well, we felt pretty betrayed by both the players and the owners, but like we say, we've been coming to opening day since we were knee-high to a grasshopper, so we figured we'd come back out and support the team. We love San Diego, so we'll support the Padres.
A Navy color guard and a huge flag provided by the Marine Corps added a dose of patriotism to the opening day ceremonies, which preceded a 10-2 Houston victory. Players from both teams are happy to be back, playing in front of the fans.
It's a decision we had to make that was a bad decision for the fans. Not bad for us, but bad for the fans because it killed a great season. We just have to try to make do with what happened, try to go out and show the fans that we appreciate them, do the little things that we've always done for the fans, and try to help them forget what happened.
Many of the 38,000 plus at the stadium were Navy Marine Corps fans. That's something that doesn't go unnoticed by the big leaguers.
Well, I think everyone has respect for the military because they're defending our country. So I think maybe there's a mutual respect there. I got friends in the military, so military's in the area, and I think the community really respects them.
Well, believe me, what I do is a lot easier than what they do, and I know. A couple years ago, we went out on a carrier, and I was shocked. I mean, I believe me. They told me we were going over in a helicopter. We went over on like a C4 or something, and you hit that little cable and just like shocks you into reality. And then to get on the ship and see the barracks, to see the guys in the kitchen, to see the guys landing the planes and that whole thing. I mean, I was just, believe me, what I do is a lot easier than what they do.
Petty Officer Ron Flanders, San Diego Jack Murphy Stadium.
It's neat to see that the baseball players like to watch the sailors and Marines and see what we do, and we like to watch them.
That's right, and I think the most interesting thing is that they believe that what we do is hard. We think that it's hard to hit a baseball, but they think that our job of defending the country is harder than that, which is pretty cool, I think.
Well, that's our show for this week. I'm Christiana Halsey.
And I'm Herb Josie. In the next few weeks, we'll take you to the hangar bay of USS Dwight D. Eisenhower, where sailors and Marines made their game show debut on
Wheel of Fortune!
And we'll look at how the Marines are planning for the future. It's the Marine Rifle Squad of the 21st century.
We hope you'll join us for those stories and more. We're going to have a lot of fun. And don't forget to check out the May edition of All Hands magazine. This month's issue has some great articles, including a feature on the artwork you'll find aboard ships across the fleet.
And we'd like to thank those of you who have called or emailed our feedback line with your comments and suggestions. Please keep them coming.
We'll leave you this week by returning to America's pastime with sailors, Marines, and the San Diego Padres. Have a great week.
It's your official scorecard live program right now.
Believe me, what I do is a lot easier than what they do. And I know, a couple years ago we went out on a carrier, and I was shocked. I mean, I believe me. They told me we were going over in a helicopter. We went over like a C4 or something, and you hit that little cable and just like shocks you into reality. And then to get on the ship and see the barracks, to see the guys in the kitchen, to see the guys landing the planes and that whole thing. I mean, I was just, believe me, what I do is a lot easier than what they do.